What's going on, guys? We're going to be touching up on Fortnite again. This game is just fun as shit, and the devs are amazing. They keep dropping little quality of life things. They put out a plan. This game is going to be amazing. If you guys are not playing this, jump on board. This is going to be the funnest game that you guys have played this year. And the reason it's going to be so much fun is because you can play it your way. And they just changed the amount of time it takes for you to drop, and now gliding makes a difference. Since you're falling at a greater speed, you can't just beeline it at like less than 45 degrees. Now gliding out to the sides and making a good drop matters, and you have a little bit more control about how that goes. This is maybe one of the riskiest openers I've ever done. If you saw where I slowed it down, you could see where this guy was dropping off, and the plan was to let him open the chest and me grab the weapon. That is a high-risk approach, and when it works out, great. And I'm going to take this game all the way to number 1. I've edited in such a way that I keep all the important parts. I kept the opener, let you guys see really where things went right, where things went wrong, and also understand why I'm going about doing certain things in a certain order. Right now, I have a really good gun. This assault rifle has great stability, it hits hard, it's a great gun to have in the opener. So right now, I shot at this chest. I'm like, if anybody even wants to come challenge me, I'm going to feel pretty good about this. I see that the guns are laying down. I'm also not too much for crouch walking for too long. I think that can hurt you, but that's for different reasons that we'll have to discuss in another video. Now, the hitboxes here are a little bit weird. I'm also missing a lot of shots, and things went horribly wrong. I lost my shield. I lost a little bit of health. I'm not too concerned about the health right now. I still feel really confident because of the gun I have, and the quality of the gun that you have as well as the weapons you have available to you is huge. If you're at close range and all you have is like a blue rifle with a scope, indoors, you're better off with just a white shotgun. The pump action shotguns with some headshot action is gonna one-shot guys, so the quality of the weapon is almost as important as the role that it plays. So make sure you have each one of the weapon types, but then in the end game you start getting into the problem of, do you want to carry bandages as well as med kits? Those are when you start losing weapon types. But that's a decision you have to make at the end depending on what you think is more valuable to you. Some people just are not good with certain weapons. I've been working a lot on my sniper because I was really bad at it at the beginning. I've also worked on my assault rifle, and the quality really affects the range that you're going to be able to hit, but even then, green quality is already pretty damn good in this game. The time to kill is so short that usually what gets rewarded is good aim, while also being to outstrafe or outposition your opponent, which usually has a lot to do with building as well, because you can just make yourself a little head glitch. That's really what you're always aiming for when you're using forts. If not, you're using it to deceive people of where you are. Just went ahead and peppered him. I felt pretty good about with this gun. I still could have landed definitely more shots, but I caught him by surprise. The third-person angle in this game adds a lot of depth. You have to kind of picture where they are and how they can tilt their camera, because some hiding spots don't work as well as you think they do. Usually high ground is obviously going to give you a huge advantage because you can tilt better downwards than they can tilt upwards. That doesn't give them too much information. So trying to picture yourself how they're tilting their camera, especially when you're doing things in rooms as well, is a big part of this deal. Alright, so look how many bandages I have. Now this is the beauty about not losing your shields. If you have bandages or med kits, you're essentially running in the storm for free. If you have a complete med kit, you put yourself right back to 100. You can even wait beforehand. If not, you're still going to be left with that 75 health in the end once you're able to recharge completely. Now there's a couple of phases to the storm. In the first phase, it only takes 1 hit point per second, so you don't feel it too hard. In the second phase, though, you definitely start feeling that a lot faster. Usually I don't like to go below 10 seconds for a bandage. If you end up messing up because you accidentally move or you misclick, sometimes lag will actually miss a click in this game, so there are certain scenarios why you don't want to push that timer too close. Now, when it comes to just running in the field, it doesn't make a difference if you decide to go bulk dressings or start running. The only time it really matters when you're timing out your dressings is in the end when you're just about to get out of the storm. The best thing to do is obviously get out of the storm first and then start recharging. Don't go to boost your health up to 75 and then run out. That whole time you could have actually been making health without losing it. That seems pretty basic, but I've seen people stop when I've been watching some people, and it just doesn't make sense to do that. Obviously, harvesting a little bit of wood is going to help you. I feel really comfortable when I have at least 150. That's usually enough to make a ramp to get up to the top of a mountain. But then you also have to worry about the way down, so usually you'll have to farm up there. Building is obviously something we're going to go into in another video, but obviously I'm going to fill the time just talking about what we're doing here. It's really important. I started to notice different structures and the way that the mechanic works of when you're building and you're inside the actual structure when you're building it, you have the choice of either going under it or over it. So it's not something you have to time out really perfectly. You just have to be aware of where the piece is. If it's obviously higher than your body is, it will make you go underneath. But if you're like just a good solid quarter of your body in, you'll have that option to take your time and just jump up onto it or do whatever you're trying to do as you're building. We have a guy running up. He's running from the storm, so more than likely he's not going to be taking too much time to look at me. He actually could easily start building and make himself a spot. I would do the same thing, so I'm not too worried. That's why I like Fortnite a lot more, I think, than I would have liked PUBG if it was ported to console first, because this game doesn't leave you ever just out in the dark. Like, you always have an opportunity to do something because you have guns and you also have buildings. I see that pile over there, and I thought that was the guy that died at first. I didn't notice this guy here. He probably should have just made a ramp and just head glitched me. That's just a normal thing to do in this game now. And even that doesn't really bother me. In the beginning of the game, it's a little bit harder to take care of because you don't have too many bullets. But once you get into like mid-game, and if you've looted some people, you're gonna have enough ammo to actually just shoot these walls down. If you have a high-quality gun, you're just gonna shred through wood. That's why at the end of the game, you need some steel. And this comes back to that thing. If you're gonna be playing this game, and you're gonna take that passive approach, this is where you start running into problems. If you don't loot enough bodies because you haven't killed people, unless you're really opportunistic or you're really good at looting without getting into trouble, then typically you're just not gonna have as many resources and weapons. If you slay 5 guys, you're taking 5 other people's loot. That's huge. So that's the difference between being aggressive and being passive. It's how many weapons you're gonna get, at least more reliably, as well as resources. I wanted to charge up while I built. It's a little bit slower on Xbox, so I have to make sure that I have the opportunity to build exactly what I'm looking for without having to worry about getting shot while I manipulate the pieces. And on PC, you can there's a key for each piece. Here, we always have to scroll. There is a different setup that you can use, but apparently you can't close doors, which is a weird little glitch. I saw that on a thread, so I'm like, that kind of sucks. So if that gets fixed, I'll probably switch over to that stance as well. You can see I'm at 15%. I just want to buy a little bit of time. I don't want to get hit by the storm right now. Once I start getting into the middle, and by the middle I mean between the storm and the center circle that I need to get into, that's usually where guys will be camping out and anticipating that somebody's also looking to run into the circle. It's a nice place to set up for them because they're close enough that by the time the storm passes, they can still get into the circle without taking any damage. So it's something that you should take into consideration when you're going into circles. Even when I saw the loot there, I knew there'd been 2 engagements at least, 2 piles of loot, so that also kind of triggered me to stop because I didn't obviously want to get jumped. Sometimes when I've seen loot that's too good and I'm like, why hasn't this been looted? It's usually because the other guy's just waiting it out because he didn't find it was safe, and more than likely he's right if I'm there as well. So those are things that you want to look for. When things look too good to be true, ask yourself the question, why is this here? Why would it just be available for you all of a sudden? I've been caught by a pot. And something I started to do more on Xbox is obviously drop stuff because I was playing with a team and I'm like, oh my god, I can just start dropping valuable things and bait people in with it. A shield pot, geez, that'll attract somebody. I'm still trying to get used to my snipers, especially knowing what the difference is between the colors. Like, I'm not too sure how it affects the bullet drop or the speed of the bullet. Right now I have the best sniper, so it's going to make things a little bit easier. I kind of like how difficult it is to snipe people in this game, though. It's going to probably change when they fix the sensitivity on the ADS. But for now, you may want to just try turning down your sensitivity at a whole if you do want to get into sniping, because on console it is a little bit too high as a default to snipe at least well. And this is that scenario I was talking about before. If you've looted a lot of people or you've scavenged enough and got on all this loot, bullets aren't going to be an issue. And look how fast you can start shredding through this. I put 98 on him and the storm ends up taking him. I don't even get any credit for that. I think that's a little bit weird. While all of that was going on, there were some shots from around the mountain. So that's where I'm going to be keeping my eye. I think he may still be up there, so I'm going to wait until the circle shrinks again, and then I'm going to make my push. At first, I thought I was going to just build a quick steel ramp up to that spot, then no one can shoot it out, and then just gun him out with my Scar. That seemed like a pretty safe approach. The Scar's a really good gun, but then I was pretty sure he'd moved away, and I didn't know that this guy was going to be here. He caught me by surprise, but it ended up working for me, and now he is out by that shack. He just took a shot, so now that I know where he is, I know where I want to set up, I know where the circle is, so let's make things happen. I'm also ready to start building at a moment's notice, because what I'm looking to do first is set up a defensive perimeter, and then I'm going to try to snipe him out. Going for the one-shot kill is probably the most reliable thing you can do in any game. It's obviously difficult, and it has a problem that if you miss, you may be left out in the open. What I need to watch out for is rockets and, of course, sniping. Now, I wasn't feeling overly confident. I've been wanting to finish a game with the sniper, but I keep kind of losing my nerve, and here things almost just end for me. As soon as I hear any kind of grenade shots or rockets, I'm ready to relocate or build some sort of structure in front of me. You can make structures count as 2 if you put some stairs behind your first wall, and you just back up behind it. That's going to count as 2. So there's a lot of things that you can do in order to protect yourself. You also have to watch, obviously, for them changing guns. That's the thing. If you start only worrying about one set of weapons, then you may fall for another type. So he's trying to snipe me. I think that's a damn good idea. I want to do the same thing, and I get screwed right here. And there is a problem with hitbox registration in this game. Some I like looking into buildings. I think it keeps the pace of the game up, but you can't quite shoot through them reliably, or not at all, especially for just regular buildings. Like the holes, it doesn't actually take into account. Anyways, we're pretty much at the end of the game. I was thinking about trying to go for a jump shot with the sniper, and then I lose my nerve, and then I just use my assault rifle. But I promise next game will be a little more exciting. I'm going to continue to the same format. I'm going to cut down a complete game. We're going to go from 100 to number 1. And usually I'm going to point out all the things that I think were important. We'll cut out all the travel time, unless, of course, it's also important. Because there's some things that obviously lead to better decision making in this game. When you know a lot more about it, you're going to feel that it's a lot less random than it felt at the beginning. And in last week's video, I had asked about a tip for Fortnite, and Skeptic Souls had said, come in from the top because there's a chance you may destroy loot boxes if you're coming in from the bottom. And that's right, if you destroy the structure that the loot box is standing on, then it disappears. So you do have to watch for that. That's a good tip, so you've earned yourself a ticket into the draw once we reach 10,000 subscribers. So we're going to be picking this up with some more tips, more games. Let me know what you guys thought about the format and anything else. Again, thanks for watching. I'm Paper, cut to you, and I'll see you guys next time.